Persona 5 Royal is my favorite game, and Strikers is an awesome sequel to it. Well, I mean, I guess it's not technically a sequel to Royal, but rather to the original Persona 5 game, but you get me. People always describe this as like a Warriors type of game. And I haven't played any of the actual, mainline Dynasty Warriors games, but I feel like comparing this game to those, it really does Persona 5 Strikers a huge disservice. Persona 5 Strikers is what a Warriors game would be if it, was actually fun. The enemies felt like meaningful to fight against, and you didn't have to stress out about like multitasking and like managing all your people on a huge battlefield all at the same time. You can't just turn your brain off during combat. You actually have to play the game. Oh, and it actually has a tolerable story. Not just a tolerable story, but an amazing one at that. Based on this previous knowledge, I was a little worried about the combat for Strikers before I got into it. I played Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors, and those games didn't really impress me, especially with the gameplay. Like I said, you just turn your brain off and just hack and slash forever, and you just don't really feel anything. So as I got into the game, and when I was still playing through the first jail or so, I was pretty unconvinced about the gameplay. However, after I got more used to the controls, I tried out some more characters, and I just got a better sense for the game. I started having a lot of fun with it. Of course, I don't quite like the gameplay as much as the combat in Persona 5, but it's a nice alternative, and it's something I thoroughly enjoyed all the way to the end of the game and beyond. There's enough to it, and it's fun, and it's stylish, Persona 5 style. All the moves and stuff are the same from Persona 5, it's just in a different format, and it's fun. The enemies are fun to fight against. They're not just sitting there waiting to get beaten on. They fight back. It can be a little challenging at some places, but not unforgiving or not really that hard at all. I played on normal difficulty, and it was fine. So, but yeah, it's a fun game. From a gameplay standpoint, very solid, very fun. Of course, there are some things that go without saying. I mean, seeing as this is a Persona 5 game, after all. The music, top tier. The characters, top tier. The presentation, even topper tier. It's just beautiful. The story is pretty solid. It doesn't reach the heights of P5R, but I wasn't really expecting it to. Setting a bar that high it'd be ridiculous. Okay, I know this video isn't about Persona 5 Royal, but I just want to mention that I'm hyping the game up a lot, and you shouldn't put your expectations for that game too high. You shouldn't shoot your expectations and your hopes for that game to the moon if you haven't played it. Persona 5 Royal is a really good game, and it just resonates really well with me, for whatever reason, but it's in no means probably objectively the best game of all time. I don't know what would be, honestly. But I just say everyone should temper their expectations for every game. I mean, I think getting overly excited for a game can be dangerous. I mean, although the enthusiasm is always nice. I mean, we can just look at what happened with Cyberpunk 2077 to see what happens when hype is overblown for a game. But I think that just temper your expectations is all I'm trying to say. But a side tangent aside, let's get back to Strikers. We are into the spoiler zone. Watch out! Watch! Ooh. Ding ding! Yeah, the freaking alarm, Velvet Room alarm sound. It's spoiler time. I'm talking about spoilers. Get out of here! Get out of here! Okay. All right, it's time we discuss the new characters, Sophia and Zenkichi. Sophia's pretty good, although I can't say I'm a huge fan of the whole AI learning about being human thing. Seeing as I've seen that kind of thing done a lot in other media and even video games, and I mean, sorry, Persona 5, it's been done far, far better in other things. It's not like it's done bad here, though. I quite like Sophia. I mean, Sophia herself, though, she's a nice addition to the crew. And when she's not being a freaking stupid robot, she seems nice and cool. Zenkichi, on the other hand, my boy, he's a banger. He's an absolute banger of a character. He offers like a nice juxtaposition to the thieves, and it's interesting seeing a much older individual becoming a phantom thief and becoming part of the group. His story with his daughter is touching, and I like how he cares for her, even though they don't understand each other at first. Even though it's like kind of halfway ripped off from Persona 4 with the Dojimas.
Ow!
I mean, what's with Persona and like single fathers having a complicated relationship with their daughter whose mothers were killed? Anyway, Zenkichi is a true homie. He's absolutely cracked on the battlefield as well. Man's a powerhouse. And he's probably my favorite character to actually play as. Zenkichi's baller. That's all I gotta say. The story as a whole, I really enjoyed. My favorite palace ruler is probably Natsume because he's freaking sick. And the way he struggles as an artist and as a creator and everything is pretty relatable, I would say. I mean, at least it's more relatable than killing your dad and, you know, wanting to brainwash all of society. It's more relatable than that at least. I do like anime Tony Stark, though. I feel like things like Ichinose character could have been more fleshed out and prominent, like before the end of the entire game, just to make that part have a little bit more of a punch, make it more impactful. And I thought that it was kind of weird how you had 3 normal jails and then like 2 weird ones in a row back to back, and then you went back to a normalish jail. The whole Okinawa jail was just kind of weird for me. I mean, I can't really tell exactly why though. There's also the part where Sophia dies in quotation marks. I'm be honest, I didn't really care all that much. I mean, because she's a freaking dumb idiot, dumb idiot, stupid dumb idiot robot. And also, like, in a game like this, I mean, she's a robot. Like robots always come back to life in games, you know? They always get revived pretty easily. I don't know if the game wanted you to actually think she was going to die for a second. I mean, maybe I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was kind of phoned in a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't really feeling like it. I just wasn't really feeling it in the moment because of the whole Ichinose thing. Because she just kind of came out of nowhere, and I mean, why am I supposed to care about her? Like, why am I supposed to care about her betrayal when I've talked to her like twice, and you know, I had a phone call for like 30 seconds one time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still largely enjoyed the story. I mean, these are just a couple nitpicks I have with it. But if you want me to get really in detail with some nitpicks, this game has some dumb stuff in it. And I'm not really complaining about that. I just want to point it out because, you know, it's kind of funny. I just want to point out some lighthearted stuff for the video. A lot of the crew's problems in the game are solved very, very easily, or like by coincidence, and it happens way too often. I mean, I can understand some convenience and stuff that might not entirely make sense, you know, for the sake of the plot, but I really noticed it a lot in this game. Basically, every jail starts out with the crew coming into a city, and Sophia's like, oh, bruh, there's a jail here. And the Phantom Thieves are all like, I bet, but like, how are we gonna find the one guy in this entire city that the jail is coming from? And then they proceed to bump into the jail's ruler within like 5 minutes of entering the city. And this happens for the first 3 jails. The 4th and 5th jails are more intrinsically just tied to the plot. But for the 5th jail, Phantom Thieves are like, how are we gonna get the password to the CEO of a giant tech company? He only gives out his password to the people who he can trust 100% because he knows that his technology has the power to change people's hearts. So obviously, he wants to protect his heart from being changed at all costs, right? So he wouldn't give it out as password willy-nilly. He only gives it to people he trusts because he has to protect himself, right? And then you know, me as a player, I sat back and I was like, Okay, this makes sense. This makes for some good drama. I mean, the Phantom Thieves are in a real pickle. I wonder how they're going to get out of this. I mean, how are they going to get this super high-ranking official, like, billionaire, really, like, one of the top leaders of the world's password? Like, how are they going to get that? It was a really good setup for some really clever storytelling. And then Ichinose is like, dog, I got his password like 5 months ago. Lol, XD, I already have his password. It's like, okay, well, that just threw that out the window. Okay. This game also has some something I like to call dumb anime cliche moments. Did we really need two hot springs scenes? And I mean, they're just as contrived as you'd think they'd be. I'm not saying that my coveted Persona 5 Royal doesn't have dumb anime cliche scenes, but it certainly does. I mean, think about Ryuji getting beat up after Shido's palace. But I don't know why, but I just noticed these dumb cliches, these anime moments a lot more in this game than in Persona 5 Royal. Like I said, though, these are just the tiniest of tiny nitpicks. As I always say, the games I nitpick the most are usually the games that I like the best. At the end of the day, this game it's a stellar action game featuring the awesome characters from Persona 5, but not a catchy, sad life. It's a lot of fun, and despite its flaws, it has a pretty engaging story. Now I just gotta grind 1 billion bond points for the platinum trophy.